is Ethan Tingler, front tire changer for the 3-car Austin Dillon. You're listening to Back of the Pack podcast on Fantasy Focus. Hell yeah.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 31 of the Back of the Pack podcast here on Fantasy Focus, brought to you by the Original Hooters in partnership with Monkey Knife Fight. We are post Foxwoods Resort Casino 301, but we got a double header this weekend, fellas. Headed over to Michigan International Speedway. I am pumped. We haven't had a double header in a while.
It's been a while, right? Overdue. A nice race here this weekend at New Hampshire. Excited to jump into it, and a lot of stuff, breaking news here that we can dive into. So excited to be with the guys again.
Yeah, I'm excited. I actually have a keen eye on the Monkey Knife Fight NASCAR Xfinity Series race on Saturday, and not so much the Cup Series since it's absent. So my guys, if you're watching, let's get in there and pop in a nice Saturday round for the boys, if you know what I mean. Hopefully that's up in 24 hours. I'm sure that it will be now that we've made the statement. But I am extremely excited about a doubleheader. I think Matty Kenseth gets it done.
Out of the gate.
We're coming in with Big Macs and Big Macs only.
Kenseth's done well here. Older Bush has done well here. Maybe we'll get a crazy winner here, because I wasn't so thrilled to see the Rat get a win last weekend.
We called it though. Like, we didn't call him as the guy who's going to win it. That's our issue as a podcast as a whole. We always say this seems like something the Rat could come in on and swoop in. And then he goes and he does it. And it was, I mean, for the most part, that was just like a coin machine making a coin. He just insert car, stamp, win. That's how that went for him. Wasn't challenged and really raced his ass off. You got to give him a lot of credit, but we need to stop for the most part saying it seems like a rat race and realize when the cheese is at the end of that finish line.
There was a lot of cheese at the finish line there, because that was a big win for Kez. So not only does he get his third win of the year, I believe, he also secures a new contract with Penske. So up until earlier this week, he was out of a ride next year, technically. So now that he's off the market, if you will, the 48 becomes a bit more of a hotter seat. And as we learned just a few moments ago, we'll dive into it, but there's been some seat shuffling, if you will, and charters and numbers changing hands because of teams downsizing or going out of business. So we're going to see some drivers that we talk about a lot potentially out of rides next year. So heck of a race this weekend again. Kez with a big W, but Kyle Busch, he continues his cold streak and wrecked out early, man. Flat tire, destroyed that car, pancaked it. He's potentially on bubble watch if he has another one of those kind of races.
Right. I mean, I didn't see the beginning of the race. I was on a beach somewhere. So I was.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
But I got a text like, what happened to Busch? I thought because of our NASCAR pool that we do every week where everyone gets, 3 or 4 drivers, I thought he was like an early scratch or something. I mean, what happened? He just crashed immediately as soon as they fired the gun.
Yeah, pretty early on. I think it was in the first stage. I mean, we didn't even see the crash on live TV, if I'm not mistaken. We just see him rolling down pit road, but they cut back to the accident, and it's very clear front right tire blew, and he was done the moment it hit the wall. So tough day for him. But we talked about Priest being someone who needed a good day. He had a very strong finish, almost breaking top 15. But also folks like Stenhouse and McDowell also had very strong outings with top 15 and top 20 finishes. So some of the expected drivers up there in the top 5, top 10. But again, overall, it was an entertaining race. I did like to see Hamlin competing with Keselowski, not as much Harvick, as well as Blaney being up there with a fast machine.
Right. I'm starting to think I need to come around to Keselowski. I don't know what it is, if it's just like my personal hatred for the guy or whatever, because he's got like this smug look on his face, or maybe it's just like the shit-eating grin he's got and his picture.
Yeah,
on
he's got RBF, man. We've already talked about this. He's just got rest and bitch face all the time, but it's not his fault. Well, we hold it against him.
I mean, if I were winning that much, my face would look the exact same like this.
I just think maybe I'm hating on the guy too much. I mean, he's a good driver. There's no discounting his skills on the track.
Yeah, there isn't, and he's someone he's easy to hate on, right? But he's someone that he's starting to earn the respect of a lot of his peers and folks who cover it alike. So I think he's a little bit quieter in his recent wins, and his recent contract extension is going to give him a lot more flexibility and freedom. I expect him to take home a couple more W's even before the playoffs start in a few weeks.
Let me ask you this: in NASCAR, are contracts public knowledge? Like, do we know how much he's getting paid to extend his contract with Penske?
A little bit. So some stuff is visible, some stuff isn't. Some folks, some incentives are more apparent than others. I think that's one thing that has been changing a lot in NASCAR, where payouts were a lot more publicized, then they weren't. Now they are a bit more, and contract lengths and some incentives are publicized, but the details, nitty gritty, stuff is not. So I expect as these contracts go towards more 1 year extension types instead of these long, 5, 6, 7, 8 year lifetime deals, we'll have a lot more information on them as they are being signed, especially this year. Of course, again, with information being so much more important and data always wanting to be shared, I think a lot of these drivers are going to push for it so they know how to, compare themselves to others and also establish a value for themselves in the market.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm just curious what that looks like. I don't know if it's do they make more off sponsors realistically?
So the team, the individual brings the sponsors and the relationships to a degree, as well as the team that is housing them and their car. But a lot of the drivers' pay is, of course, a base salary, but there's a lot of incentives that come along, yes, with a sponsorship, but also winning races and achieving different milestones, much like a receiver or a quarterback would have for yards or touchdowns or playoff games. So, there's a lot of hidden incentives in that, but drivers like the Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s of the world in his prime were making tenfold on sponsor deals, much like the LeBron Jameses of the world. Yes, they have huge contracts, but they also have huge networks of worth outside of that.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. Before we move on to Michigan, I do want to talk, it's interesting in terms of the NASCAR standings, right? So we draw our drivers every week. Everyone, for example, if we're doing 8 or 9 of us that are playing for $20 a piece, we base the first round of your picks off of the NASCAR standings, right? So last week, Almirola was standing 8 in the standings. So I was, I guess, unlucky to get him as my number 1 driver. So I want to talk about some of these guys that are up there in the standings, but they're not necessarily having a chance to win every week like an Almirola, right?
Yeah.
Almirola is a guy we talk a lot about. Reddick, DiBenedetto. Which one of these guys realistically has a chance to win this year or win first? Or do they even have a chance? Or are we just going to continue to kind of see that like top 5 realistically win every week?
I'm going to say Reddick there, Freeman. I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think it depends on the racetrack, right? So it's a lot of circumstantial, stuff that comes about to achieve your first win in your career or season or what have you. So I think looking at the ability to win here and now, I think that at Michigan, Almirola and DiBenedetto come out ahead of Reddick just based on their manufacturer's performance in Ford. Ford is a very heavy shop that has a strong prevalence in Michigan, as well as, they lead the way from a manufacturer win perspective across its 100+ race, history. So I think those guys have the ability out of the gate. And I also think that Benedetto is kind of carrying a bit more speed and momentum, while Almirola has a lot of these consistent finishes. He does not know how to finish a race. He always has pit problems. There's something that just leads him astray. I don't have much faith in him right now. But again, he's someone I am riding on a weekly basis because he will win before the year's up.
Question for you. Is it like certain that a Ford motor is going to perform better in its home state?
I don't know. It's something in the air. They put some kind of, some NOS to spray it out there. I don't know. I don't know what it is. If they had a hand in designing the track, I don't know if it's just the circumstances, but Fords always do better in Michigan.
I think I realize what it is, right? When you think about what an engine does, right? It takes fuel, combusts the fuel, and then shoot shit out the exhaust tank. It's like when you've been on a week-long road trip for work and you've been playing away games for the entire week. Playing away games on the road, morning and nighttime, not the best scenario, okay? You get home, you're playing a home game, you sit on that thing for the first time, and my goodness, it's like your world has just been made. That is the story of the Ford motor coming back to Michigan. It just needs its own home. It's a
Home
home
on the
game.
prairie. Yeah.
Yep.
I think that I
man.
think your analysis is right on. I don't think I could have said it any better.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's spot on.
Oh man, that means old Joey Logs is gonna win or Harvick.
This is a pretty Joey Logs track.
I know.
It's a loggy track, man. And
It's
I
not
know
hard.
Bucky only has 2 hats that'll be relevant next year because Eric Jones is out of the 20, so he's going to have to rely on that 22
Okay.
car.
Can
Yes.
we talk about that? So
Yes.
So Chris Bell is taking over that vehicle.
Unofficially. So this stuff is like late breaking. It's almost 7 o'clock Eastern time right now. While I was pulling together a couple notes and sharing some links, this stuff happened. It was announced on Fox this afternoon. So the situation is this afternoon there was rumors that Denny Hamlin was a potential to go to Hendrick Motorsports because of the whole Levine family racing, Christopher Bell situation.
Yeah.
Situation there is there's an alliance with Joe Gibbs Racing, so Bell is like a future star for them, and that the whole rumor with Hamlin was quickly put to rest when the Eric Jones extension was made clear it was not going to happen. So Eric Jones was not signed for next year, but many expected him to re-sign because of his recent success. But with the LFR team going under and selling their charter, the 95 team is no longer going to be around after the end of this year. So to preserve that relationship with the development driver in Christopher Bell, they kicked out Eric Jones, arguably the most underperforming driver in the stable right now, collectively over their career, in favor of Bell because of how much they have invested in him from an equipment and money perspective.
That's crazy. So you're telling me there's a realistic possibility that Eric Jones doesn't have a team next year, doesn't have a car?
He's going to be driving. The issue is, where is he going to drive? And there's this, just like the argument in, let's say, in the NBA. If you have a solid 6 or 7 coming off the bench, does he want to always be a 6, 7, or 8, or was he maybe want to go to a Europe league and be a star? The same thing can be said for NASCAR now, where some of these higher level guys like Daniel Hemrick didn't have his best launch in the Cup Series. Now he's driving for one of the best team in the Xfinity Series in an effort to reignite his career. So I see it going 2 ways. Jones can be in a Daniel Suarez type situation where he's in a back marker and just chilling until something comes up, much like Boyer a couple years back before he came to Stewart-Haas Racing. Or he has a Joey Logano moment where Joey Logano used to be on that team driving that exact same car, and then he got picked up by Penske and exploded from a career success perspective. So there's 2 ways to go. And I think he's going to eventually be a very strong, prevalent driver in the sport. It's just a matter of getting through the muck and the weeds of that kind of middle ground where he is stuck right now.
So in a way, you basically need someone to retire or, maybe make a racist comment and get kicked off the circuit, something like that.
You're right on it there. Yeah. People making asses of themselves or getting old is really kind of the name of the game for a change in seats in NASCAR.
Well, let me ask old Cliff Hamsteak this. If you're in that situation, you got your hat on there, Eric. What are you going to do? You're going to swallow your pride and go back down to the Xfinity Series, or are you going to take a back marker car?
I would take a back marker car, race the hell out of it, get myself back up on the damn podium is what I'd do.
Yeah,
drink milk when it's necessary.
The fans driver.
Yeah, just although I will say, when you're in a back marker car, it is every race is depressing. You're clearly looking at tailpipes the majority of the time, and even when you break through, you're getting lapped. It's not fun. But Eric Jones is going to get picked up. I think he's raced well enough to the point where, number one, I don't see Kenseth racing next year. Okay. So there's one off the board. There will be spots that will open up. Silly season might be silly season for a lot of the reasons that it is. But the main reason that I think Eric Jones is in the league next year is just because He's got great hats, number one, represents America, hunting, fishing, and just being a lover, man. You know, the
He's
guy's
gonna
a
beat a
lover
car.
out there, loves to race, and he'll be out there.
I
He's
agree.
not
And
going back down.
you presented a good point too with Kenseth going to be out at Chip Ganassi next year. The same arguments being made for Bubba Wallace. He's
Right.
someone who is on the market right now. Petty is trying to keep him. They're giving him part ownership in the company, salary raises, all this stuff. But they don't. I don't know if he's gonna keep that. I think he should sacrifice it for a better machine, and that could be found in that same car at Chip Ganassi Racing. So that's just again something to consider. But we never know. We could be blindsided by some of these last minute, extension defaults, if you will, or lack of extension. So never know. Excited to see what unfolds next few weeks.
I mean, I think he'd be foolish if they're throwing him some sort of ownership percentage. I mean, why would you not want that? Can't you just improve your own brand rather than jump and ship?
It's a
I don't
pretty
know.
tough team, though.
Yeah, I don't know. My concern is they waited this long to do it. They haven't shown their cards before. Like, why, I want someone who's going to make a strong pass. I don't want someone who's going to, come back later to try and incentivize me to do it. So,
Fair.
he has done a lot for his brand and for his name in the sport. And I think that merits, in addition to his ability to drive, that merits a stronger machine, a stronger team with more resources. Again, it's a one-car team. You don't have ability to test resources on off weeks or do all this stuff of the bigger teams in the series. So their inability to develop as fast as others in itself is a huge flaw that they cannot overcome without huge injections of money that won't happen.
Right. All right. So what else we got going on? We got a new method to starting lineups, I understand.
Thank you, baby Jesus, in a tuxedo shirt, because we have needed this for a long time. So much, much like your third grade teachers, grading your overall, yearly grade, 50% of your test
They
count
called
for
it
the overall.
aptitude, and I was usually on the lower side.
So the way that they're doing this, instead of it being a completely random, within these bounds, they are taking different components of your stats to dictate your starting position. So of this overall point system, 35% of your current points position, 50% of your previous race finishing position, and 15% of the individuals with the fastest lap will start higher in the standing than others. So the individuals who have higher accolades in those areas will then have higher scores starting higher in the starting lineup. So very long-winded explanation that hopefully we can break it down and make more sense of it.
I'm so confused right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really good at math either.
Listen,
So.
I got rid of the Pythagorean theorem at age 18, man. I left that behind me.
Oh man. So this starts not until Daytona, though, right?
Yeah, so we got a week to soak it in at least, I believe, and make some sense of it. But it's when you break it down and make it simple, it's three different segments, and each segment has a higher weight than the other. So
Right.
When you have a more articulate person explain it, it'll make a lot more sense.
Why do you think they're doing this? Just because they got sick of seeing Almirola in the pole position, or what?
Yeah, they were tired of hearing the bitching from the people who should be starting up front. I think it's just they're adapting, right? They expected when they made this plan to be back qualifying by this time, I believe. So modern solutions require modern issues require modern solutions, and I think that they've adopted here and got
It's a great
some
line.
situation.
I feel like I'm in some sort of commercial with that line.
I think that's from like some Will Smith movie or something.
Oh, that's good.
Oh no, it's probably Hitch.
Yeah. So it's going to be good to see, this a mix up. The drivers have an ability to control a bit more the starting lineup, so they can't be complaining as much, if you will.
Got it. Yeah, no, I think that's one of my favorite things about NASCAR is they're always tweaking something. We've talked about that a lot. It's like they are the tweak masters,
Agree. And that's recently changed. And I think that their perspective now is, hey, we took a lot of time to change in the past. Let's do this. Let's make sure these changes aren't too radical, but they are flexible enough that we can change them on the run. Let's see what happens. Like they tested at the All-Star race, the choose cone. When they come around this weekend to Michigan, they're going to be using the choose cone again. So it's going to be unique to see how it impacts the race and the restarts there very quickly.
Yeah, for sure.
I love the choose cone. You don't love it that much. I love it.
I'm all right with it. All right, so
no. I'll explain.
It's
why
going
I
to
like
be
it.
more at Michigan than Bristol.
Oh, for sure. Well, Bristol's for the most part a racetrack. Everybody can peel around if they need to. When they have space, they can find it. Michigan, you do need to find the groove, and the groove is going to shift. It's going to start low and get high, and that's how I see the race playing out here, Freeman. I don't know if you agree there, but we're going to start low. They're going to be cutting those angles, and then as we see them progress, I mean, by the end of that race, they're going to be, I would say, 2/3 up that bend as they're going around the final turn. So
I hope so. The higher that groove gets, the better the race will be.
agreed. It's a fun racetrack, Levy. It is a
very fast,
and you never really have to let off at all.
Especially with these packages too. You're just going to be you're feathering the throttle there in the turns, but it's much less of a finesse track than it was in the past with the much faster or much faster straight line cars with higher downforce. But it's going to be a great race. Again, we're a double header, so for a quick kind of jump into the schedule, we have a lot of racing. So Friday at 6, the trucks race. Saturday we have 2 races. First we have Xfinity, then Cup, and then Sunday we have Cup again at 4:30. So it's going to be great to get a lot of racing. And if you want some extra free racing, the Menard Series is racing on on Sunday, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and that's the feeder series into the larger NASCAR series. So a bunch of races in Michigan here to look forward to.
Lots of racing, love it. I was looking for odds earlier. Do they use the same odds for Saturday and Sunday? I mean, how does that work? Or do they just adjust them after Saturday?
They'll adjust them after Saturday. All the lines and everything will move. Right now, in kind of order here, I imagine Harvick is a favorite. I think he's still plus 300.
Right.
Hamlin, Blaney, Truex, and Keselowski, and Kes being the 5th favorite at plus 900. So good value in some of those Fords. I think someone like the Benedetto at 40-1 delivers the most potential value, here in Michigan.
Yeah, I just looked at the most recent odds here on Vegas Insider. Harvick 400 plus 400, Denny 600. Nice. Logano plus 650. We've said he's done well here. Chase Elliott plus 700. I believe he's done historically well here. And then Keselowski's actually down to plus 700 now.
Oh, wow. Unless they got some out-of-date numbers, or some long shots must have been favored there. But I think that, if I'm not mistaken, Logano won here recently, but Elliott has a very strong average finish. So I haven't seen it out of the Chevys, guys. Ford has been there. A couple of the Toyotas and Hamlin have been popping around, but Ford has just been running shop. And then to say they're going to Michigan, like, this could be a Ford sweep, easy peasy, no questions asked.
Right. And our boy Joey Logs is starting in the pole position on Saturday.
Yeah, Almirola is going to be in the far back 4th position, as we have random watch every week for him.
It's funny. When I was Googling the odds earlier before we started here, I accidentally was looking at the 2019 odds, and have the times changed. In 2019, Kyle Busch was the favorite to win this race.
What, like negative 150?
Yeah, exactly.
Minus 150?
Oh man. So what are we thinking then for this weekend? Like, what are you guys gonna go with a favorite here or what? I mean,
I'm going with a Ford. It's a Ford kind of weekend here.
Bucky,
I'm going Logs.
Wearing the Jones hat.
Well, now that he's out of a job,
it's like a tribute. It's a tribute podcast to Eric Jones.
Listen, I have a heart, despite all the rumors out there.
I have a heart. We can joke because I think that he's going to kill it. He's gonna find that next stepping stone, much like his partner in crime, Joey Logs, and make that climb.
I think it's Logs today. I really do.
So for both races, or just Saturday, or one?
Saturday. The Lord knows it's going to happen on Sunday. And honestly, I do feel the best race car is going to give up a hell of a lot of that wear and tear on Saturday to where it'll be just a flip script on Sunday, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. For me, I think I'm gonna go Denny Hamlin.
Well, see, I said that, but I should have said this. I should have qualified it. You're going to have guys like Hamlin and Harvick who will be there no matter what. But I think that in terms of the other players, let's say you're sitting 13th and you might be edging on the front group just a bit. You know, you're 8-9 seconds out. There's a part of me that thinks it's more of let's just make sure this car's in the best shape possible tomorrow because we didn't blow our load here. And you're going to have those at the front of the pack, 1 through 5, truly gunning it. And I think it'll just kind of flip on its head on Sunday a little bit.
I think there's a factor of that, but there's also a factor of being up front helps you learn how to prepare your car to be up front. So if it's a relatively cleaner race and these guys don't have as much contact or beating and banging or wear and tear as maybe can be expected, being up front is favorable, not only because you're going to have a greater chance to win now, but you're also going to be able to learn more about how to prepare a car out front. Because again, even though you're racing 5th through 15th, and that's a relatively strong finish for most drivers, you're learning how to optimize your car in that position, not how to make it better up front. So sometimes those changes don't translate. I think it has a potential to go both ways just because there is so much unknown from Saturday to Sunday.
Right. And now, correct me if I'm wrong here. I know earlier in the season when we had a doubleheader, they can only bring one car. Is that accurate for both races?
So they bring 2 cars. The issue was, so I think it was like Bubba Wallace or someone else crashed in the first race. I can't remember the situation was. There were some car supply issues
Right.
at some point, but nonetheless, they have multiple cars in the hauler. And the good thing about some of these larger teams like Hendrick Motorsports, even if let's say you for some unknown reason trash multiple cars before the next race, you can rewrap a teammate's car depending on the situation.
Right. Yeah, I think I'm getting it confused with the All-Star race and the qualifying race into the main.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yep. Yeah, there's been situations before where cars have had crashes in qualifying and practice and have not had the ability to get a car prepared for the race because they have only a primary and a backup.
Right. I think from a DFS perspective this weekend, and I know we don't have all the numbers yet for Monkey Knife Fight because they've only got the Sunday contest out so far. So we're not going to get into specifics for that. Bucky's got something cooked up for you guys. But if you're looking at like point totals, it'll be interesting to see where things are released this week. Like Logano might have his highest fantasy point total ever in terms of more or less for a Monkey Knife Fight. You're going to put a Logano at what, like 17.5 is my guess?
16.5 and 15.5 last weekend. Remember that?
That's what I'm saying. But like he's starting in the pole position. And if you guys have never played on Monkey Knife Fight before, you're getting 1/10 of a point for every lap led. Does Logano come out swinging and lead the first 40 laps or something like that? For me, I would be a little bit apprehensive with that because Denny Hamlin's starting in the 2 position, and Denny's my guy. You know, Denny could pass him at the drop of a hat and be leading laps. So I'm leaning the more on Denny no matter what his number's at. He's hot again. He was up and down and hot and cold for a while there, and now he's on a heater. And
he is.
You don't want to leave the table.
He's always there. And I think your evaluation of Hamlin starting on the inside, it nullifies the playing field. It's a true 50-50. But what changes the layout is who's behind them. So if you look back, Harvick and Almirola are going to be inside and outside in the second group. So no matter what lane that Logano picks, he's going to have a Ford behind him. And arguably, I would say I want to line up in front of Almirola because Harvick isn't going to help Denny Hamlin. If anything, Harvick is the ballsy guy who's going to yank it to the inside of this wide track and take it 3 or 4 wide. So you have to think about these things, especially when you have so much time from a Thursday to a Saturday to think about the strategy in this situation.
Yeah, I think Harvick's going to be a bit reckless here at the jump.
He's apples this weekend, boys.
Oh, trust me, you've seen the damage that Bud Light apple cart or Busch Light apple cart can do. Bud Light apple would be a farce.
Well, he hasn't won in what, 2 weeks now? He's got to be fired up.
He's ready to retire. Hang up his shoes.
I don't know though. He hasn't had those closing jets the last couple of weeks that we had saw where he was just his car was beyond for the last 40 or 50 laps in each race, and I haven't seen that. So I know that we all know the driver we have there in Harvick. I think pound for pound, it's him or Denley. Good Christ, Denny, who are the guys that you really look at and you're like, they are good racers, like really good drivers. And then the rest of them, Joey has a great car, and at times he feels like he can groove it through. But it is a Denny, it is a Kevin Harvick show. And the way it boils down in this race, he's rocking apples. You got Harvick and apples, I'm in.
Apples on board.
I'll go on board here. Are we making our picks? I like Kevin Harvick to win the race.
All right. Where's he starting? Oh, he's third. I mean,
3.
that's there you go. Well, he's going to be right up there with his buddy Denny.
He'll probably pass Joey in 2 laps.
It's going to be an entertaining race with Harvick and Denny up there at the top with Joey Logs, who historically has done well here. And, Kez is in there too. So I think this is going to be it's going to be a good race. You're saying it's a fast track. So for me, maybe Harvick's got his cannon back. He's ready to be shot out of that cannon. But, I'm still going Denny. Just food for thought, gents. Wouldn't it be cool? I don't know why I just thought of this because I'm like looking at the top 5 and what I think is going to happen in the first 25 laps or whatever. It would be really interesting if Vegas or DraftKings or Monkey Knife Fight, for that matter, any of these sites out there in terms of sports gambling, what if it was more like horse racing where you could like box or do a trifecta or a superfecta, whatever, and you could box like the top 3 drivers, right? I think that would be interesting.
There's 40 drivers, though.
That's the issue. So the only time I've seen that in official game is free entry or like crazy parlay. Like NBC runs that every year. It's like, hey, match the top 10 and you get $1,000, and every weekend it like rolls over, and it takes effing months to get that. So it's such a long shot. What's 40 times 40? That's the number of outcomes that potentially happen in that race.
Yeah.
Like, when it's 6 horses,
1,600 there.
There you go. That's a lot of outcomes. So, but I like the we're bag of donuts and tall boy Sixers all day. We like the hard to win bets.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so my favorite to win is Denny Hamlin. I'm going to say that every week. Although I did say it when he was plus 750, so I was all over that one. But my long shot to win, I got to get a long shot in there. I got a plus 2,500 for you, and it's the other Busch. Give me some Kurt Busch.
Ooh,
He's good for
other
1
KB.
year. He comes out of nowhere when you least expect it. That damn Monster Energy.
like green Batmobile, man.
That's
Zooming
it.
around.
Every week he's your guy, though.
No. Denny's my guy every week.
No. He's your like underrated undersell guy.
It's just the car, man.
Short-term memory, Bucky. We forget and we move on.
But he's won here, what, 3 times?
Yeah, this is again someone where we have picked before long shot top 3s to cash in some money here. So Kurt Busch isn't someone to overlook, especially if there's someone outside of the Ford stable that has had success, while Matt Kenseth hasn't had that speed and consistency. Kurt Busch has. So I think he is someone that I would favor outside of the Ford manufacturer, in that Chevy shop.
I'm going Ricky Stenhouse as the long shot.
Oof. What would that pay? What is that? 60, 70 to 1?
Oh God, can't even find him on here. Hold on a second.
Man, I wish Ricky would get a W, man. He deserves one with that haircut.
Plus 20,000.
Yeesh.
Oh my God.
Just throw a couple.
That's a lot of thousands.
I'd put a 10 on it to win $2,000.
Oh man, that would be fantastic.
Look, here's how I
day.
feel about Stenhouse. This is not a dangerous track. This is a track that doesn't demand what is necessary of some of these other tracks where Ricky does what he does and he gets up to the top and then he gets absolutely apeshit and starts just wheeling around like
Crashing.
crazy. I honestly think it's more of a driver problem than a vehicle problem. But that's why I think when you're safe and you're just cruising along a groove, it's a very easy turning course.
Yeah, when you have 8 grooves to drive, when you get loose in one and can have 2 or 3 to recover your car, you tend to have a little bit better chance of
So I
making
feel
it
like
through.
maybe we can harness good, block bad.
All right, Freeman, who's your long shot?
De
And your
Benedetto
favorite.
is my guy. De Benedetto is my kind of long shot. He's at a 40-1. He's someone again that has the support and the manufacturer backing of Penske and Ford. So he and Blaney are both two drivers that are due for wins, that will both be very well received by the NASCAR community when they achieve those wins. So that's my long shot there. I think my favorite, kind of going into it, I'm leaning Hamlin over Harvick, but for someone kind of under the radar favorite is definitely a Blaney, like we just talked about. Ford performance, and had a lot of success there at Penske. So I want one of those two guys to take it home.
Love it, man. Any middle of the pack guys? I know you were pretty high on Priest last week for people playing DraftKings looking for cheaper guys. Anyone else this week that you like specifically?
Yeah, when we look at it, I think that you mentioned them earlier in the pod, that where there's these guys that are consistently finishing in the top 5 or 10, but they're not winning. And the Almirollas and the Reddicks, and the De Benedettos of the world. I think their value, especially in Almirola and De Benedetto, are going down because of their consistency. But Reddick has the chance to hit a home run in a lot of these tracks that have those higher grooves and the ability to really, let it scream, if you will. So I think Reddick is someone who will have present a bit more value, and while Almirola and De Benedetto continue to become more and more expensive as their performances stay consistent.
Love that. All right, Bucky, you got any DFS magic for us on Saturday?
I got one pick. All we have available is the Xfinity Series, folks. Let me go ahead and get this shared for y'all.
Ooh, Xfinity. I'm excited to see this one.
By the way, my Xfinity Wi-Fi and internet has been great. I changed from RCN, and I fucking hate RCN.
It's good to know, Alex. It's good to know.
When you come to Chicago, do not get RCN.
The best thing about Xfinity is you can talk into the remote.
Right? Exactly. I have an app that I can see use on my Wi-Fi and kick them off if I don't want them to be on it. Dude, it's the way to go.
There you
feel
go.
like I need to know what number I'm going to. I'm still a number guy. I'm living in 1995, and I've never been happier.
I will tell you that there has been a couple times where like it doesn't work for a couple hours or whatever, and I have no idea how to get to the channel I want to. So you get very dependent on that feature.
Well, again, I'm like a caveman. I want things that I understand and that I know, and I can just pound it with a hammer if I need to.
Bucks, you definitely are the guy that like on his kitchen table has like a TV guide. Like
2 weeks old.
You have your
And
shows like circled for the next 2 weeks that you're gonna watch live.
All right. First off, I want to clear a couple of rumors. Number one, they're called me novellas. They're not called shows. And number two, you're goddamn right. I have TV guide right there on the coffee table, so I don't want to hear nothing from any of y'all. Let's get into our monkey knife fight picks here. Xfinity Series. We're doing rapid fire, folks. 3 out of 3 for 4X.
Ooh.
This first one is just preposterous. Okay. You got AJ Allmendinger at 33 going against Austin Cindric, who has been one of the better drivers, and I'd say one of the best drivers in the Xfinity Series this year. I like Cindric, even giving up 1.5 points. Folks, you know the scoring range here. Super simple, okay? You get 0.1 points for every lap led. Well, AJ Allmendinger is starting 33rd out of 38 cars? This can't end well, folks. Cindric, going to take that home.
Love it.
I agree with you on that one. One thing to consider in the Xfinity Series, too, about half the pack is not in a competitive car. So don't be scared or concerned when you see AJ Allmendinger 15th, 20 laps into it, because that wall gets much steeper once you get past 16th, 17th spot in the Xfinity Series.
Agreed. Chase Briscoe won a few races this year, had a tough year. Good guy. All respect due to him. But you have Justin Allgaier getting 2.5 points on his ass. He's starting 12, Briscoe at 7. I like Allgaier here with 2.5, which is the largest spread I've seen in any of these.
Yep, I think you're spot on with that one. So he's a wise driver, someone who has made the decision to stay in the Xfinity series in favor of a backmarker car in the Cup series. So he knows what he's doing. I think he is sometimes at too conservative as a driver. I think you should undo that top button and let her hang out a bit.
You want that chest hair, that pert.
This one, I'm excited to see what you do on the third one. I think this is the hardest pick of the three.
I don't. I've watched Daniel Hemrick. Daniel Hemrick was in the Cup Series last year. I think you mentioned it earlier, actually, here, Freeman.
Yep.
But he's racing Xfinity. He's starting in 10th, Gragson in 9th. I love what I see out of the young gun Gragson, and I think Gragson gets the top 5. Hemrick finishes below him. Even with the 2.5 points, that won't be enough to overcome the force that is this haircut. I mean, look at that thing.
Oh,
My
yeah.
goodness.
It's made for speed and dynamics there. I think Gragson is someone, as long as he doesn't crash going for the win, he's a safe bet here. He's a checkers or records guy. But he's had a couple wins this year. Good to see him succeed. I think he's someone who is he's kind of prairie dogging a bit to get into the Cup Series.
And that's my bet. That's all we have here.
I can't believe you just talked me into playing Xfinity Series DFS, Buck, because I just
Tanner,
tailed that so hard.
What code are you going to use, though, there, Levy?
You got to use code FOCUSED.
Hey.
Yes. If you guys have never played on Monkey Knife Fight before, just go to monkeyknifefight.com. Or they have a fancy new mobile app, which is really sleek. I enjoy it. It makes it easier. Yes. When you deposit for the first time, just use code FOCUSED. Or if you're watching this on YouTube here, we put a link in the description. That'll get you a 100% deposit bonus and get you some free money to play with. Any other words of wisdom headed into the doubleheader this weekend?
I wish Chevy would show up to the party a bit and at least lead some laps. You see a lot of folks out there fading Jimmy Johnson. I don't think they're wrong in doing that. I think Fords are going to prevail this weekend. But hopefully after we get out of Michigan, we'll see some stuff getting shaked up there in the top of the standings. But again, I'm looking at the Benedetto as my long shot in that 40-1 range. Hopefully Blaney can sneak away with a win as one of my more favorite drivers there at the top.
I think it's Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, I'm going the Lone Wolf Toyota.
But I love to see
Toyota
old
that's
EJ.
shit.
I want old EJ to get in there now.
A win before Eric Jones end of year would change the trajectory of his career for the better, no questions asked. If
that would be a great story.
He would, he would upgrade his shit real quick if he gets a W before the end of the year.
You think he's got a fire under his ass now, or what?
Yes, but if I don't choke, you have to remember they also may be funking with his resources a bit. So you have to think it's a two-way street. While you see Joe Gibbs and some of these team owners in these situations say, "Hey, we're giving them the best shot to win," you never know truly what's going on behind the doors. So that's always in the back of my mind. But I'm also a very pessimistic fan.
Well, who are your picks here, Levy? Give us your picks.
I already gave my picks, dude.
I was
Hamlin?
reinforcing mine.
Yeah, I got Hamlin.
Telling everybody.
I got Hamlin to win, and my my long shot is Kurt Busch.
KB,
let's go.
You got served there, Bucky.
I really did.
You weren't paying attention when I gave my damn picks.
No, I heard your picks. I just was helping our guy Joseph Michael in the chat.
Oh, I didn't even see it.
Yeah.
That's weird. I got no.
My goodness, I get accused of such things.
How dare you be so courteous to Joseph Michael there, Bucky? How dare you?
My apologies, Joe.
Thanks for watching, Joseph.
Yes, appreciate it, man. All right, so that'll do it for episode 31 of the Back of the Pack podcast here on Fantasy Focus. Thanks for tuning in as always, and make sure you drop us some comments on social media. We'll post our winners on Instagram on Saturday. We'll post those up Saturday morning, Freeman. I'm going to hold you to that. So
yeah,
make sure you follow us at Fantasy Focused, and look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yes, sir.
See y'all
later.